Understanding notes and rests allows us to create combinations called rhythms, but there's another musical ingredient, pitch, that really gets things cooking. Pitch refers to the highness or lowness of a sound. We make sound by causing an object to vibrate, for example, by striking a drum, or cymbal, or plucking a guitar string. The vibration of the object causes the air particles around it to bounce into each other. These particles create a sound wave that is received by our brain via our ears as sound. Definite pitches are made up of sound waves that repeat in an ordered way. Indefinite pitches are made up of sound waves that aren't related and don't repeat. Notice in this musical example, the flute and bass are generating lovely rounded waveforms, while the drum set is jagged and irregular. So the flute and bass produce definite pitches and the drum set produces indefinite pitches. Let's focus on the flute versus the bass. Notice how the flute produces lots more waves than the bass. We call the distance from the top of a wave to the top of the next its wavelength, which represents a full cycle of the wave. We measure how frequently the cycles occur every second and call this the frequency of the sound. In this example, you can see 3 wavelengths or cycles that occur in the space of a second. So, this sound has a frequency of 3 cycles per second. Rather than say cycles per second, we use the term Hertz in honor of German scientist Heinrich Hertz, who was a pioneer in studying and measuring waves in the late 1800s. So 3 cycles per second equals 3 Hertz, or 3 Hz. Coming back to our flute and bass example, we can now see that the flute sounds higher in pitch than the bass due to the higher frequency of sound it produces. Musicians call the pitch with a frequency of 440 Hz the note A. Every other note we use is based on this one. If we double 440, we get 880 Hz, like A, but higher. If we halve 440, we get 220 Hz, like A, but lower. We can theoretically continue to double or halve these values to produce A's, but humans can only hear from 20 Hz to 20,000 Hz. To keep track of all of these A's, we call the 440 Hz A, A4. The numbers go lower as the frequencies go lower, and higher as the frequencies go higher. So, from the highest A we can hear to the lowest we get. Next, we can divide the distance from one A to the next into 8 and use letters to name each note. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, etc. We call this distance from A to A an octave, from the Latin octavus, meaning eighth. So now we know that each note has a dual identity, its duration name, like crotchet or quarter note, and its pitch name, like A, B, C, or D. To notate pitch, we use a device called the staff, 5 lines and 4 spaces that show the highness or lowness of a note. Notes towards the bottom of the staff sound lower, and notes towards the top sound higher. See how the notes on the staff represent the white notes on a piano keyboard. But wait, don't pianos have more keys than that? Yes, they do. Up to 88 on a grand piano. So we'd need lots more lines and spaces, right? But wait, how the heck would anyone be able to deal with so many lines and spaces? Fortunately, by the Baroque period, composers had split the massive staff into one for higher notes and one for lower notes. They decided notes written on the second line of the staff for higher notes would be called G. So they wrote the letter G curling around the second line. They called it the G clef because clef is the ancient French word for key. By writing G on the second line, it gives us the key to working out all of the other notes. We call it the treble clef from the Latin triplum, used from the 13th century to indicate the third and highest range. So, if we know the key to the treble clef is that notes on the second line are G, and we know the musical alphabet, we can work out the names of the other lines and spaces. Moving up in pitch from G, the next space is A. Our A equals 440 Hz, and so on, ascending in pitch. Moving down in pitch from G, we just go backwards through the musical alphabet. For as long as anyone can remember, music teachers have passed on this mnemonic, or similar, to help students remember the names of the notes on the treble staff. For the lines, we say, "Every good boy deserves fruit, E, G, B, D, F. For the spaces, it's face, F, A, C, E. And that is the notes in the treble clef.